he did not know what to write down. He had no data, only absence. He waited. Every day he went down to the basement, looked at the shadow, and left. The machine was silent. Years passed. The world beyond the house changed. A new century arrived. People spoke of progress, of the future, of new discoveries. Charlie lived in anticipation of the past. He dismantled the laboratory gradually, as if erasing traces of interference. Parts disappeared or scattered across the city, became elements of other constructions, unaware of their origin. He kept the secret, not out of fear, but out of understanding that the truth was too heavy to be perceived. Time continued its course, paying no attention to a single man who had once dared to violate its integrity. And one day, news arrived. The report of the discovery came from a place where the very concept of time lost its usual meaning. Antarctica belonged to no era. It preserved no traces of civilizations, accepted no history, did not fit into human chronology. The ice here was older than memory, and the silence deeper than any words. It was there, beneath layers of centuries-old snow, that an expedition discovered human remains. At first, it seemed impossible. There could have been no people in this region 10,000 years ago. Climate, conditions, geography, everything denied the very possibility. But the facts were undeniable. The analysis showed an age incompatible with human history, and at the same time, an absolute mismatch of eras. The clothing belonged to the late 19th century. The fabric was thinned but recognizable. The cut, the buttons, traces of handcraft all pointed to a time that should long ago have vanished beneath layers of progress. Among the personal belongings were manuscripts, neatly folded and protected from moisture, as if they had been deliberately preserved. The texts struck not by their content, but by their tone. There was no surprise or fear in them. There was acceptance. Descriptions of the ancient world, of stone, sky, and motionless stars, read as if the author were writing not about the past, but about the present, as if time had ceased to have a direction for him. For the scientific community, this was a challenge. For Charlie, it was a blow from which there was no recovery. He recognized the handwriting immediately. The characteristic turns of phrase, the pauses between lines, those very unfinished thoughts he had seen for years in Justin's drafts. It was him, his friend, the first traveler. Antarctica and Egypt had never been connected. Ice and sand were not meant to touch. And yet, that was exactly what had happened. Charlie understood. The machine did not merely move through time. It did not choose locations at random. It obeyed a logic he had never fully grasped. The realization came slowly. Charlie returned again and again to his calculations, trying to see what he had missed. The machine did not seek an era. It sought a state of time. Antarctica was a place where time did not move. When he revealed the truth about the machine, he did not speak of it directly. But between the lines of his account, a pattern was already visible. He was listened to attentively, but understood differently. In his words, they saw a threat to control, to stability, to the very concept of the present. The response was swift. When representatives of the authorities and the military came to his house, Charlie had already made his choice. The basement was empty. The machine no longer existed. Only a black silhouette remained on the floor, a human form deprived of volume and time. This shadow was not the result of light. It was the result of absence. The frescoes were discovered much later, at first as an anomaly, then as a coincidence, and only with time as a trace. In one of the little studied temples, far from tourist routes, researchers noticed an image that did not correspond to the canons of the era. The face was executed in a traditional manner, but there was a sense of otherness in it. The features seemed too individual, too modern. When the image was compared with archival photographs of Charlie, the coincidence became impossible to ignore. He was there, not as a god, not as a ruler, but as an observer. It is assumed that Charlie understood more than he had intended, that he realized interference destroys, but presence leaves a trace. He did not change history, he became part of it. The same kind of fragment as stone or sand. Antarctica preserved Justin's body. Egypt preserved Charlie's face. One remained in a world where time does not move, the other in a world where people tried to defeat it. And between them, the shadow in the basement of Dantown, not disappearing, not aging, a reminder that time is not a line, it is space, and those who enter it too deeply no longer belong to the present.